So today I received my soap ink mixer and I am super excited about it. You'll have to forgive the awkwardness of this video. I don't usually do videos. This is obviously me opening it. That's Lewis's logo. Designed in Australia, made in China. Lewis is a local artist who I love supporting. You've probably seen his pen holders. So the way this works is there's a spinning magnet in the soap and you put this little white bar in a jar, any jar, on top of the soap and you turn it on and the bar spins and it agitates whatever liquid you've got in the jar. So it's great for keeping pigments suspended in an ink or an ink solution. What I'm doing today to show it off is mixing some Pearl-Ex up in it. This is Super Copper Pearl-Ex, I think. I wouldn't put it in with the bar spinning. I'd be worried that the pigments would fly everywhere because, as you can see, this stuff is really delicate and light. So I usually start by putting just a little bit in. You can always add more later if you didn't have enough, as you will see at the end of this video, but I prefer to start small. I add Gum Arabic, which is a binder. You can get this in pretty much any art shop and it's pretty cheap. I have mine in a little drip bottle, and as far as amount goes, I really just kind of wing it. You want quite a bit of Gum Arabic if you're mixing Pearl-Ex because it's the only binder. Pearl-Ex is just pigment. It doesn't have anything to glue the pigments together. So I usually start with about half Gum Arabic and half water, I think, which is quite strong. But as you can see, this is just a paste at the moment. It's not an ink and the ink stirrer is not going to help. So that's putting some more water in, a lot more water. With this ink stirrer, it's best to make sure that the liquid covers the little white bar, at least when it's at rest. And so I haven't got quite enough there, so I will put a little bit more water in, and then I will put a little bit more Gum Arabic in. I mix it up a little bit with a spoon at the start, just because I think that the stir bar would send a loose pigment flying. Just make sure that it's all undercover and all doing all right. And as you can see there's a lot of water on the top and a few little parts of pigment floating. Once you turn the stirrer on, which you do just by turning the side dial, you can see that the agitator bar starts spinning and it starts mixing for you, which is the entire reason that this little magic tool is worth it, because you can just leave it running. I think Lewis has tested it for running up to 10 hours, and which is as long as you're ever going to need. Now I'm just looking at my mixture there and thinking that's too watery, I need more pigment. I don't have a recipe. I know that you can get some recipes online, but I find that the exact quantities of water and Gum Arabic to mix really, it depends on so many things. It depends on how hot the day is. It depends on the humidity in your studio. When you're working, you'll be adding water every 5 to 10 minutes anyway, if it's a day that's as hot as today is, because otherwise you'll lose a lot of fluid to evaporation. So I've never bothered to sit down and record exact amounts. I just go until it feels right or until it's a good consistency, which probably isn't best practice, but there it is. And you can see I've just put a lot more pigment in. And then I decided that although I'm loving this, I need to match a slightly more coppery tone. So this was a pigment called, I think, Super Copper. And all that weird background noise right now is me ruffling around in my shelves until I can find the brilliant gold Pearl-Ex, which I also use a lot. With Pearl-Ex, most of the pigments are great and will mix really well. And as you can see here, I don't even stop the stirrer. I just dump it in and watch it blend until it's a consistency that I'm happy with, until I've got the right colour. The Brilliant Gold is a really good one for adding a little touch of yellow to anything that you're mixing up, or a little touch of gold. I did stop the stirrer here because that little dollop that was sitting on the bar was annoying me, so I turned it off, let it mix in, and hit go again. It takes a couple of minutes to spin up to speed. If you've got one of these, one of the Ica lab mixers, which I also do, it will spin up much faster, but that's, I think, a function of it being attached to the wall and instead of portable like this one is. And so now I'm just testing my ink. You can see it's not quite right. You can see I'm having a little bit of trouble with skipping. So I've added a little bit of gum arabic and trying again just to see how fluid it is and if I'm getting a better flow, which I am. When you mix up Pearl-Ex, you always want to test it before you commit to your real paper. Well, for one thing, you need to know what consistency you've got it to, but you also really need to check that once it's dry, it doesn't blow away. And if you don't have enough gum arabic in the mix, then you won't have enough binder holding it to the paper. So you need to test it, let it dry, run your fingers over it a few times, and then you're ready to start your actual piece. And once you're finished, you can just turn off the soap. I've actually left the bar in this one. I don't think I bothered to take it out because I'll be using this all afternoon. So I'll be storing this ink mixture in the jar. Hot tip, you can actually use any empty glass jar that will fit on the soap, and Calligraphy Supplies Australia sells one that's a perfect size.